everyone. Welcome to the American Sports Connection. I'm your host, the one and only Joey Railroads. I'm actually flying solo this evening. For those of you guys that don't know, Ryan Ennis had shoulder surgery on Wednesday. It had been a long-going issue. I think he had it done last year. He had tore his labrum. It was around the same time I think Finn Balor did. And he had got it fixed. And then around, I think it was like Thanksgiving time, he thought he had did like too much because he was putting up like a Christmas tree or something to that extent. Anyway, long story short, he had to have another surgery done. He had a like impingement in his shoulder, I think is what he called it, and they had to fix it before he could go back to work, if he can ever go back to work. He wanted to try to come on tonight. He was going to as of like 4 o'clock this afternoon, but then he messaged me and he's like, I don't think it's a good idea. They had him on some heavy duty painkillers, and he said he went to like stand up and he felt like he was drunk and was gonna like fall over, or like the room was like really spinning. So you're stuck with just me. So Ryan, if you're listening, I hope you feel better and just take it easy, and hopefully rehab will go well and you'll be back doing all your electrical work, very, very soon. Now that that's out of the way, I wanted to go through a couple news bites that had happened in the last 24 to 48 hours. I guess this is kind of a spoiler if you don't want to know. Cover your ears from the NXT tapings. Asuka, for those that do know, broke her collarbone. I don't know if she actually did it in the match with Ember Moon at TakeOver Brooklyn or if it was the day after. I'm not exactly sure, but either way, she relinquished the NXT Women's title last night, undefeated. And from all accounts, when she heals up, she's going to be debuting on the main roster, with rumors being that she's going to go to Raw and could be up as soon as the next Raw pay-per-view, which is in September, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I believe Raw is the next one in September. No Mercy. She could be ready by then if everything breaks according to plan. I actually wanted to see her on SmackDown. I don't know how all of you felt, because Raw's writing at times is atrocious and their booking is atrocious. I'm trying to remember. There was a couple other things that had happened. Oh, I know. Another spoiler, if you don't want to hear it, is Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, and Kyle O'Reilly attacked some of the UK guys that are still in NXT, and they eventually have like a tag match with Wolfgang and Pete Dunne, I believe, are the two against O'Reilly and Fish, which would be a fantastic match. But I don't think that's airing until the end of September, if my memory serves me right. Yeah, that's true, John. I can agree they do have the better women's division. The issue I have is the way they book. But I'll get more into that. There's a lot of stuff to go over. Obviously, on Saturday, since we're doing This Week in Wrestling, last Saturday was NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. I don't know how all of you guys felt about it. I thought it was a fantastic show. We did the live reactions on here. Me and Lance did, which was always fun to do. I very rarely, and Lance will too, because he's a stickler for stuff. I will give a show like it's an A show. That was an A show. With the surprises they had at the end with Adam Cole and Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly all aligning with each other, and the fantastic matches. I'd even go on a limb and say the match with Andrade Cien Almas and Johnny Gargano might have been the match of the night. But you could even say the woman. There were so many you could say were women. Match of the night. The women's match. I'm trying to remember. Even Aleister Black and Itami, I thought was really good, but it was more of like a UFC shoot fight kind of style, their match, which I enjoyed. You don't really get to see. I don't know if they'll let him do that kind of match when he gets to the main roster, but it was fun on TakeOver. Yes. That's the one match me and Lance said we didn't care for, was the title match, the main event, Drew McIntyre and Bobby Roode. For some reason, it just didn't click. It was kind of flat, and like Lance just said, the ending with Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly, and then Adam Cole coming out and attacking the new NXT champion, Drew McIntyre, made up for the kind of lackluster match that they had. And I was on record last week with Ryan, and if you guys listened last week, you'll remember this. I was kind of not excited for TakeOver Brooklyn 3. I was like, okay, maybe like a match or two, but I wasn't really, super looking forward to it like they normally do previously. But boy, did they prove me wrong. Every match I thought delivered except for the main event. So they had their hands full with SummerSlam, but for the most part, I didn't think SummerSlam was that bad. I'm trying to remember. The one thing that annoyed me was the Usos and the New Day had the SmackDown Tag Title match on the pre-show, and that was one of the best matches of the night. You could probably say it was one of the matches of the night. Same thing with Neville and Tozawa. Yeah, I was annoyed that they were on the pre-show and that they switched the titles back to Neville, which is a head-scratcher, just to let him have it for like 6 days, Tozawa. Yeah, I thought it was flat the first couple matches. Natalya and Naomi was the only good one I can really remember for the first like 3 or 4. Because like Cena and Corbin was bleh. Big Show and Big Cass was fucking awful. Orton and Rusev was what it was. I actually thought Sasha and Alexa Bliss really wasn't that great. I mean, it was okay, but it was kind of flat for me. The only one I really enjoyed the first half was Natalya and Naomi. And I was really cool to see Natalya win the belt, which I thought was long overdue. But the show really picked up, I thought, from when Finn Balor and Bray Wyatt had their match, which Balor had a really, really fucking cool entrance with the demon and the play on the song "The Whole World in His Hands" sounded really creepy. They actually had a much better 10-minute match than I thought they were going to have. I thought that match was not going to be good at all. Yeah, you were cheering for Cena. That's a first for you, Lance. And I agree, the big casting should have been the pre-show. They should have had one of those tag matches, or title matches, excuse me, on the main card. The other really, really good match was Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins when they beat Cesaro and Sheamus for the tag belts. That was a fantastic tag match. Both tag matches delivered to me. The only one really in the second half that really fell flat to me was Jinder beating Shinsuke Nakamura. The match just didn't do it for me, and they botched the ending. Where if you go back and watch it, you can clearly see Jinder telling Shinsuke to grab my hand or grab my arm or something to that effect when he went to give him, I think it's pronounced the Colossus or the Colossus, something to that effect. And he didn't grab his arm, and it just kind of looked like shit, and they got the pin. But I kind of fully expected Jinder to win because they're going over to India in September for a tour, and I think Ryan pointed this out that Jinder is walking out. There's an Indian fighter. I don't recall his name. He's a mixed martial artist. He's going to be on the next UFC card in September, and Jinder's walking him out to the ring. So it would make sense that Vince would want the guy that's the champion to walk him down and probably have the belt with him to show it off, because that's kind of like an ego thing to him. That's interesting. John in our chat says there's a rumor going around that Corbin and Enzo might get demoted back to NXT. Oh, okay, Lance. Thanks for clarifying that. Jinder apparently is not walking him out. He's just there to support him. I know there's a lot of heat on Corbin right now, because apparently he's pissed off the wrong people, and been a jerk on social media, and that's why they kind of embarrassed him with the whole briefcase thing when he cashed in. So that should be very interesting. And like you said previously, John, the main event really delivered. It was probably Brock's best match he's had in a while. I'd probably say a couple years since the triple threat he had with Cena and Rollins in Philly. And he made Braun look like $1 million. And that coming up with them, which we'll get into in a little bit, should be very, very interesting. I myself am very looking forward to that match. I mean, I don't know where they're going to go with it. I'm assuming Brock's probably going to win, and it's going to piss a lot of people off. But I really don't know. But for the most part, SummerSlam, not bad. I'd probably give it a 7 out of a 10, a C. Consider one of the main reasons is the bad stuff that they had was really bad, and that if you watch the entire show from pre-show to main event, it's 6 hours. That is a marathon to watch. That's two of my reasons why, to me, it's a C. But overall, one of their better big pay-per-views they've done in some time. At least to me. Now I'm going to transition over into Raw. I thought the opener was fantastic, where Braun comes out and destroys Lesnar, which sets everything up for the main event of No Mercy, which should be really fun. I don't know what else their booking decisions are going to be. Interestingly enough, Bray Wyatt wasn't on Raw this week. I don't know if that's to sell him getting beat by the Demon, or they just didn't have anything for him, or I don't know where they're going there. I'm assuming it was just to sell him getting beat, because I figure they'll have a blow off deciding match at No Mercy, since they both won one each right now. As I'm scrolling through, that's right, Big Cass gets hurt, unfortunately, in his match with Enzo. From what I read, he tore his ACL and one of his other ligaments. I think it was maybe his MCL or his meniscus. I don't remember which one. But he's going to be out a while. I think they said like 9 months is like average. Like if he's going to do good. I think it'll probably be especially difficult considering he's a big guy. And it's harder, I think, for big guys to come back from, stuff like that. Yeah, I would kind of feel that way. I don't think he's going to drop the belt, Lesnar, till Mania. It would make sense. I gotta say, too, I love the Raw crowd. I know some people didn't like it, because I saw a lot about it on social media. I love it when a crowd is, like, super excited like that. And, like, really into the product and the show. And they're like, oh, well, they're just being assholes, and they're, doing all this and that. But to me, when you're in Brooklyn, or you're in New York City, and you're in the Northeast, you're going to get a hot crowd, and sometimes you're going to get asshole fans. Ask Cesaro when he ran out into the crowd in the middle of their tag match on SummerSlam and grabbed a beach ball and destroyed it, which was fucking hilarious. I popped for that. That was really funny. The other thing that I enjoyed was the crowd, and I don't know if you guys heard it, was when Samoa Joe came out during the segment with John Cena and Roman Reigns. He told Roman Reigns, one-on-one, I own you. And the crowd started chanting, you're his bitch, to Roman Reigns. The mic just picked it up enough. So that was kind of cool. The thing, I feel so bad for these like cruiserweight guys. They stuck them in like an 8-man tag, and it's really like nobody gives a shit for the most part. I mean, I actually really like Gran Metalik. It's kind of cool that they're getting him on there more, because I think he could be like a marketing machine for them with selling masks and stuff to kids if they, marketed him right. Or it could be like, the next, I'm not comparing him to Rey Mysterio, but, because he wears the mask and does all the cool flips and, that could kind of work in their favor, but that division is just a mess. And part of the reason why they got rid of the purple ropes and everything is because everybody knew that was the Cruisers match, and they would go get popcorn or go to the bathroom or, or go get merch or whatever. I actually felt bad for Finn Balor's match because they kind of like shit all over it with the beach balls. And now they banned them apparently. So you can't like have them at WWE events anymore. And I actually thought he had a good match with Jason Jordan. It's just that Jason Jordan shit has fallen like really flat. Like that was bad. And the main event actually wasn't bad with John Cena and Roman Reigns against Joe and The Miz. Holy crap, dude. Me and Lance, and I think me and Ryan talked about this live as it happened. The Miz just like dropping pipe bombs. Holy cow, was that promo he cut good on Raw. Like, it was everything people don't want to talk about in WWE, where John Cena and Roman Reigns, right or wrong, whether you disagree with me or you agree with me, get 30 million chances to get over or to be in big main event matches, yet guys like The Miz or other lower card guys that are really over, whether they're good or bad guys, don't get anywhere near those amount of chances. One or two if they're lucky. So pointing out the hypocrisy that WWE tends to have every so often. Yeah, I love that. You both suck. That was amazing. It was it was probably one of the best segments I've ever seen, where you felt the passion like oozing out of what The Miz was saying, where you're just like, holy shit, this is like amazing what he's saying. And the one thing, now that you bring that up, John, that the fans chanted, "You both suck," I don't understand why WWE tried to pull that angle in Brooklyn, in New York City, the night after SummerSlam, when you know you're going to have a smarky crowd that's going to probably shit all over it, where you know the fans do not like either of them. And more so Roman Reigns lately, probably since WrestleMania, where he's been getting a ton of heat since he beat The Undertaker and probably retired him for all intents and purposes. But I thought the main event match was good. I thought it was eventually leading up, because you had heard rumors that Joe is going to fight John Cena at No Mercy potentially, or start a program with John Cena. I'm hoping, if that's the case, that Joe gets to put, Cena puts Joe over. I would hope that he would do that, because I initially thought Cena was going to put Corbin over, but then everything that came out, why like Corbin had all that heat on him, then it's like, okay, it makes sense why Corbin didn't get put over. But I thought Raw was actually a good Raw for once. I mean, I don't know if it's because they're trying to make these after the Big Four pay-per-view Raws really good, and then the rest are kind of just or they're just, got lucky one week. I don't know, because by and large Raw has not been very good to watch or hard to watch. And I'm just, look at the ratings. That's all you need to know. Now, SmackDown this week I actually thought was really good too, where they had AJ opening it, going to fight Owens against the referee of his choosing. I actually thought there for a minute that, because they kind of teased it, that Sami Zayn could actually consider being the ref. And I was like, well, maybe they would turn Sami heel and make it kind of interesting there for a little bit, because he's just fucking floundering on SmackDown. They have no idea what to do with him. He hasn't been on television like in a match recently, to my knowledge. He wasn't on SummerSlam, which is a disservice to him. So that was kind of cool, teasing that. We also got the debut of Bobby Roode, Mr. Glorious, which was fun. I'm a big Bobby Roode fan. Hopefully he can have better matches than he did at TakeOver. He had him before, like the Nakamura stuff was really good. So hopefully he can, put on some good matches. By the way, he spoke after his match. I think they're going to have him be a babyface or a good guy, whatever you want to call it. I personally would rather see him as a heel. I like him better as a heel. I've never really been a big fan of face Bobby Roode. Yes, Sammy needs a new paper route. That would be that's funny. The other cool debut that I wasn't expecting was Shelton Benjamin going to be tagging with Chad Gable. I personally would rather see them both be singles guys. I think Gable has proven in a couple different matches he had. I think it was one with AJ Styles, one with Rusev, if I remember correctly. He can go. He could be like a solid mid card guy. Maybe even challenge for the secondary belt, which like the U.S. title at some point. Because I thought he was pretty solid. My issue with him is, and it's probably more so because they haven't given him time enough to do it yet, is to kind of show his personality, flesh out like who he is, and that type of deal. Because he hasn't really come across very like his personality, I would say. Let's see here. The one I thought was kind of interesting was the Hype Bros and the Usos. It was just kind of like a nothing match. With more so, I guess, time filler. And I've told people this before and they've scoffed at me when I've said this. WWE is slowly trying to make Mojo Rawley like the next John Cena. I really get that feeling. Where they're trying to like slowly hype him up where that they can make him like a world champion. I mean, I don't have an issue with Mojo because he's actually a really smart fucking dude if you look at his like resume up. But the way like his gimmick is just like so bad. So bad. Alright, wasn't really a fan of the Nakamura stuff with the Singh brothers. I get why they did it. But it was just kind of okay. Then they have the tag match actually with Natty and Carmella against Becky and Naomi was pretty good. It's just I don't know. It just kind of seems more like filler because they don't know where to go. We see Ziggler on television for the first time in a while. I kind of thought he was going to retire, honestly, because it just seems like they keep burying him deeper and deeper. That would be interesting if Mojo turned heel. I wouldn't mind that. And then we have the main event, which was Owens versus AJ for the U.S. title, which eventually the special guest referee is Baron Corbin. Sammy turned him down. The Breeze Dango tried to do it, but Kevin didn't want him, which was a funny little backstage clip. The match wasn't bad, but it eventually leads to Corbin getting thrown out, or excuse me, not thrown out, quitting as the ref, and Shane McMahon coming in, and Kevin Owens feeling he quote unquote got screwed, which is either going to lead to one of two things, in my opinion. Either a match with Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon, or it's going to lead to Kevin Owens getting moved back to Monday Night Raw from where he doesn't want to work with Shane McMahon anymore. I'm hoping it's the match because I don't want to see him go back to Raw because he'll probably get lost in the shuffle with all the talent they have there now. That's just my opinion. I think they're still going to do a superstar shakeup. I haven't really heard anything about it lately, but there's still like a rumor that that's going to happen. I don't know why you would do it twice in a year. I'd rather kind of just do it once, but that's my personal opinion. Because you can only like move around so many. Unless they're going to move like a lot of guys that Raw isn't using properly. Like, because I wish they would have kept Bray Wyatt on SmackDown and let him have that feud he was originally promised with Orton through the summer, because he was going to get the belt back. But they just kind of last minute threw him on Raw, and it's just been like a cluster ever since. But overall, SmackDown wasn't bad. SmackDown's been the better show. They had, for, I'll say, a 4 or 5 week period there, they turned into like Monday Night Raw Light, where it wasn't very good, and now they kind of like started hitting their stride again. The writing had gotten better. It was really bad there for a while, but it seems like they kind of got through it. Now, 205 this week, they had my guy who I was just talking about, Gran Metalik and Cedric Alexander. They beat Tony Nese and Drew Gulak. Really solid match. It's just a shame because 205 has been putting on really solid shows for a while, but nobody seems to give a shit. Like, they had some really cool gimmick matches, like the blow-off with Drew Gulak and I'm forgetting his name. Mustafa Ali in a 2 out of 3 falls match. And then they had like a hardcore kind of match with Tozawa and Kendrick. It's just nobody's really watching. I saw a video of as soon as SmackDown was over and they started to like have 205 Live go live on the network, there was like droves of people heading to the exit. The other thing, I don't know about you guys, the Brian Kendrick is not doing it for me. He's just like, it's weird, and like the thing with him and Jack Gallagher is just like falling flat for me personally. It's just, it's not doing it. Yeah, I agree, Lance. Everybody needs a friggin' story. It's just, what's his name? Noam Dar. They had him with the stupid thing with Cedric Alexander with his girlfriend, Alicia Fox. It's like, why you gotta, so that's a total Vince thing there. Because that's so, like, 80s, 90s. Yeah, let's have them fight over a girl. Like, come on, man. Just let them do something different, or just let them work in the ring. They did have, the main event was Neville fighting Tozawa again in a rematch. Was a really, really good match. Nip and tuck. Neville eventually wins with the Rings of Saturn. I'm assuming that's going to be it for those two, which is sad because I was hoping Tozawa was going to keep the belt, because I don't know if most people know, at the end of 205, before it went off, Enzo Amore came out and confronted Neville and said that he is now officially on 205 Live, and basically challenged Neville to a match. I don't know if it's going to be for his title or if it's just going to be a non-title first. So I don't know if it's the greatest idea to have Enzo on the Workers show with the cruiserweights, because I don't know if he can really work like that. But I think it's more so for like name recognition, because Enzo is over with the crowd and he's going to get people to watch 205. That's probably why they did it. Because the last I had read, I don't think 205 Live gets like not even 500,000 people watching on the network weekly, or at least live when they're doing it. Like it's not rated highly on their shows, which is kind of sad. All right, let's see here. NXT this week was more so a recap kind of show. I'm trying to remember here as I scroll through it. Oh, they had a solid match with Peyton Royce and Sarah Logan. If you don't remember Sarah Logan, was Crazy Mary Dobson on the Independents. They had a pretty good match. Peyton Royce eventually wins. I was kind of surprised because Sarah Logan has been on television a handful of times and she hasn't won a match on NXT TV yet. I guess they're going to let her win one in the Mae Young Classic, which actually debuts. I don't know if it's the first half of the episodes. I don't remember exactly how many, but that debuts Monday night after Raw goes off the air. So that'll be fun to watch some of that. Hopefully you didn't read the spoilers like I have and am annoyed with it already. Let's see here. And we had more recap stuff, but the main event was a tag match with Tyler Bate and Trent Seven versus the UK champion Pete Dunne and Wolfgang. I enjoyed this match. The thing that really annoyed me, though, these guys only got, I think it was 8 minutes. With those 4 talents in there, they should not be getting 8 minutes. It's just like, I can't tell you how annoyed I am by that. That they should definitely get much more time than 8 minutes. Yeah, John. If you're a certified G, then you're supposed to be taught, I guess. Yeah, that seems fair. I can agree with that. But I was just annoyed because all those UK guys can really go, and you give them like 8 minutes, but within like the 8 minutes they got, it was like fantastic. Like a lot of really good mat wrestling and cool, cool moves. I just have like NXT's kind of in a lull right now because they're, in my opinion, because they've been raided so many times by the main roster that they're trying to like rebuild it. Like there's no real women's division because Asuka's going to be going up. I think Ember Moon is going to be going up. So they just kind of have like Peyton Royce, Billie Kay, and then whoever else they want to make like baby faces. I mean, maybe Liv Morgan, who I don't particularly care for. Sarah Logan, I'm assuming. And then whoever else. I mean, they're going to get a bunch of talent probably come on once the Mae Young Classic starts. Whoever they've signed, like Carrie Hojo, who's Carrie Sane there, and, some others. But, they're really kind of lacking unless they're going to bring a lot of these guys like they did with O'Reilly and Cole and, that those 3 guys. And then Leo Rush is signed there now. And then Dijak is supposed to be there at some point. They've signed a ton of independent talent. I just don't know how they're going to, in 1-hour episodes, get all this talent over that they have. There's like no possible way. I was going to get into that next, Lance. tomorrow night is the big fight with Conor McGregor and Floyd Money Mayweather. And what you said is the best way I can explain it. It's a circus of a fight. And people are paying, what, $100, I think I heard is the going rate for it on pay-per-view. I'm not paying $100 to see that shit. I will actually be out, so let me, before I get into this fight, Lance, forgive me, I want to plug, I'm actually going to be at CTW Wrestling tomorrow night in Williamstown, New Jersey, which is charity wrestling called Change the World Wrestling. It's really cool. They're going to have a bunch of independent stars there. The main event is Joey Janela fighting Hello Wicked, who is a really well-known masked wrestler in Shikara. And for those of you who don't know Shikara, it's an independent wrestling company based out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The cool thing is everybody on the card is fighting for free, from what I understand, and it's all going to charity to fight cystic fibrosis, which is really cool. $20, I understand, is to get in tomorrow night, and every dollar that's paid for admission, concessions, door prizes, whatever's there, all is going to go to help fight cystic fibrosis. So that'll be really cool. I'll be there and hanging out. Be a really good card. Yes, it could be the end of professional wrestling, Adam, as we know it. Anyway, to get back to the fight, if you made me choose right now who I think would win between Conor McGregor and Floyd Money Mayweather, in my heart, I want to say Conor McGregor is going to win the fight. However, in my head, I would believe Floyd Money Mayweather is going to win. The reason being, most of us all know this. If you watch boxing, Floyd Money Mayweather fights a very boring defensive fight. He can put you to sleep a lot of times with his fights. I feel like Floyd is just going to try and outlast Conor, tire him out, and, kind of hide and, not let him hit him, and just, be a very boring defensive kind of fight. I hope I'm wrong. I mean, I'd really like to see Conor knock him the fuck out and make it, a history kind of thing where not only does Floyd lose his first fight, but Floyd gets beat by a guy that's never professionally boxed before as a MMA guy. That would be really cool to see. But I really don't think that's going to happen. I'll probably get home. What time normally does the main events on boxing cards get on? It's before midnight, right? That's the law they got to do now, that they have to get on before midnight, I think. I don't remember exactly. So I'll probably be home just in time to catch it, because I don't know what the undercard is and if they have many fights, but what are your guys' opinions on the fight? Who do you think wins, or what do you think's going to happen? About the 8-ounce gloves, I don't think it's going to matter, really. I don't think, because I think Floyd Money Mayweather is just going to duck him and hide and, kind of put people to sleep, like he did with Pacquiao, where he just kind of, frustrated Pacquiao and eventually beat him. Thanks, Dino. Are you going to stay up and watch that? I think you said it's at 5 a.m. your time. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one, John. You can't lose there. The mouthy asshole will win. And I kind of agree with you, Adam. in a sense. It's going to be a majority decision by Mayweather, but it's going to be hard to score it because Conor McGregor's never never boxed a professional boxing match. So you can't really, it's kind of weird. Well, good for you, Dino. You got people coming over to watch it, or are you just hanging out with you and the wife to see the fight? I might have paid for it if I had, say, like 5 or 6 or 7 people that wanted to see it, and you go, say, like $20 a piece, so you all pay for it, and then you have kind of, you know, like a party, and hey, there you go, man, live it up. I might have done that, but otherwise, yeah, I'm not going to pay for it. There you go. That would be interesting. Lance is saying that McGregor goes rogue and either kicks him or takes him down and gets DQ'd so they can have a rematch. That wouldn't shock me either. Is it the same price as WrestleMania? That's interesting. You UK guys are apparently paying the same price as what we are in the state for Mania. I'm wondering if it's the same as in the States. Me too, John. I just didn't want to say that out loud. I personally, I'd rather see the Triple G fight that's coming. I think it's next weekend, isn't it? On Labor Day weekend or the following. It's not that far after the Triple G. Fuck, I forget who he's fighting, but that one looks more entertaining to me. I think like they'll probably beat the snot out of each other because that's probably the most legit fight Triple G's had in some time. I know, Adam, you're a big fan of Triple G. I just can't remember the guy he's fighting. It'll come to me eventually. I wanted to go over some Impact. I think they still call it Impact. Global Force Wrestling. Because last night they had their big battle royal to determine their new heavyweight champion after they stripped it off of Alberto El Patron for his incidents with Paige and the domestic violence stuff, which he was actually cleared of the one that everyone heard that someone recorded. But apparently there's been like a bunch of issues that have made people uncomfortable there, and they just said, let's just nip it in the butt. I'm actually a big fan of OVE on Impact. They beat the Heat Seekers this week. For those that don't know who OVE, if I can say it, is, it's the Chris brothers, Dave and Jake, and OVE stands for Ohio versus Everyone, because on the Independents they were in a faction with Sami Callihan, which used to be called, I think it still is when they're on the Independents, OI4K, which is Ohio is for Killers. So it's basically like a toned down version of Ohio is for Killers. But I'm a big fan of those dudes. They're good guys, so I'm really happy for them. Let's see here. And if I remember correctly, the rest of the show was the 20-man over the top rope battle royal. Let's see here. Yeah, I agree, Adam. If Mayweather fights Triple G, that would be interesting. But he won't do it. He's too scared. He's a chicken shit. I don't know if any of you saw the 20-man battle royal that Impact had for to crown their new champion. But it eventually ended up with Eddie Edwards and Eli Drake as the final two. And they kind of pulled a Shawn Michaels British Bulldog where they were the first two in and they were the last two there. And what was interesting to me, and I liked the concept, the whole match, everyone had to be eliminated by going over the top rope, like, Royal Rumble style. But when they got down to the final two, you had to win either by pinfall or submission, which was a kind of neat little twist that they threw on it, which eventually led to Eli Drake beating Eddie Edwards with the White Noise. So he is your new GFW Global Champion, which is I thought was kind of cool. I didn't expect Eli Drake to win. Cornette coming back, Dino, I actually thought it was kind of cool. It was something different. From what I understand, he is only going to go when he's needed. He's not there on a full-time basis. It's just like when they need him, then he's going to be there. So if he's only going to be there every so often, I'm fine with that. And thank you for just reminding me. Apparently, Low Ki has already quit GFW because he was unhappy with their booking, because if they did not strip the belt off of Alberto El Patron, the plan was for him to wrestle Low Ki, and I think he was going to win the title, Low Ki, but after he got stripped of it, they changed plans, and if I remember correctly, he was going to be in this Battle Royal, and they wanted him to do something with the X Division title, and he wasn't having it, and he basically quit and said, I'm done. If that's what you want to put me in, I don't want to do it. So he's back out on the market, but I've heard he's got like a really bad like attitude, Low Ki. I don't know, because I've never like personally met him. That's an interesting question. I hope it would catch on. Adam in our chat's asking if I think the trend of switching to a submission for the final two would catch on. I would like to see it. It'd be a cool little twist. Has it been that many, Dino? 5 times? Holy shit. I know they put him with LAX, which was kind of weird, because he had like the Hitman thing going, if you remember, and then he had the LAX like Insymbium on like his coat, which was kind of neat. But didn't he do that to like New Japan too, where he like left because he wasn't like happy with his status or wanted like to be farther up in the card? If I remember correctly, for some reason I thought he did that. And then I had other people trying to tell me, "Oh, that means he's going to go to NXT. He's going to go to NXT." Dude, if you have a rep of doing shit like that, and you've done it in like multiple companies, the WWE is not going to want you, man, because you're going to throw like a temper tantrum, the first time you're not getting booked the way you want. And that's allegedly. I can't confirm that. That, they're not going to want you because they're not going to put you anywhere near where, GFW would have put you on the card. They'll probably stick you in the mid-card at best. Oh, they do that, Dino? Dino in our chat says the British shows do a lot of that now, with the last 2 guys remaining in a battle royal is pinfall or submission. I actually like that idea. I think it's kind of interesting. I I'm curious. I think it could make for a better finish. I mean, more drama, maybe because, like, when they did it years ago with Shawn Michaels and the Bulldog, they had where Shawn Michaels, like, skinned the catwalk and barely got back in, and then he knocks the Bulldog out. It was high drama. Why are the Knights waiting for Alberto, Dean? Apparently, I'm not familiar with the Knights. My buddy Dean, that's in the UK, in our chat, said that they're waiting for him in a big way. Yeah, I can agree with that. It does kind of feel contrived and overly dramatic. I'm kind of in the middle with Meltzer. Sometimes he's spot on with stuff, and then other times he's just like throwing shit up against the wall. You know, like, or pointing out things that are really obvious. Okay. Paige's family is the, who Dean is referring to. I know, his brothers aren't very happy with him, the Hooligans, if I remember correctly. I just had a blonde moment, because obviously I should know that, because that's their last name, Knight. I actually don't mind Dave Meltzer. The guy I don't like is that Brian Alvarez. He really annoys me. Like, I think he's actually worse than Dave Meltzer, if you want me to get into it. I don't care for him at all. But getting back to, like, the low-key stuff, I can't see WWE putting up with that nonsense. If I already said that, forgive me. I'm trying to remember, but there's that's the other thing I wanted to cover. It just came to me. I read an article, I think it was like Top Rope News or something to that effect. I can't remember exactly. And they wrote this article, and this really bothered me because the stuff they were like implying I've never ever heard before. They said that Lio Rush and Dijak were problems. Like they were hired even though they had problems and issues before on the independents. And I'm like, well, that's news to me. So I go on and read this article. Mind you, this is the only wrestling news site, as I looked up about 20 of them, that posted this article. Didn't see it anywhere else. That said, WWE officials and multiple reports by people. Mind you, most people put multiple reports because they don't have legitimate sources they can claim. So when they get called out on it, they can't name their source. So they just say multiple sources. That Lio Rush was a problem for WWE when he went there for their last camp, or something to that effect, that he was more interested in like goofing around and being silly as opposed to like listening to what the trainers and the people around him had to say, which to me seems kind of silly. And the other thing that I could tell you right now is absolute bullshit is they said he was charging people to go on podcasts. I can tell you for 100% certainty that is absolute bullshit, because I know people that have had Lio Rush on their podcasts. I'd speak to them regularly, and he's been on their shows and he hasn't charged them a dime. So that right there is utter bullshit. And the other the other claim was that their Twitter feed, that they are too outspoken on their Twitter feed. I don't know about you guys. I don't personally know Dijak, so I can't respond to these other claims on him because I've never personally met him and don't know him. But Lio Rush's Twitter feed, I've never really seen him say anything crazy, outlandish, or they said that he's spoke his mind. Well, what the hell is wrong with speaking your mind? Is that such a big problem that's going to rub WWE the wrong way? Have we really gotten to a society where we can't fucking speak our mind, that our employer's going to have a heart attack over it? Jesus. But that just really bothered me because I'm this is a reason that this guy's a troublemaker or has issues because of these quote unquote things that you can't even back up with a legitimate source, instead of just saying as an example, Dave Meltzer said this or Brian Alvarez said it. But we have the infamous multiple sources or multiple reports, which is a fancy way to me. I mean, I'm not a reporter, but to me it just sounds like a fancy way to make up a bunch of bullshit and not have to claim your sources as, if you get called out, you could say, oh, well, I just have multiple reports. No one was really named. But that just was one thing that really, as Family Guy would say, grinds my gears this week. Because I know Lio. I mean, I don't personally know him, but I've met him numerous times. One of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. Super humble. That really bothers me when people do that. If you're going to call somebody out, at least name your friggin' source. But before I get out of here for tonight, you can check out all of our stuff on our social media pages. It's at facebook.com/American Sports Connection, or you can find us on Twitter at AM Sports Con, CON, Pod, POD. We're also on B Plus Player Radio, which is at www.bplusplayerradio.com, which has all the links to all of the shows on there on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn. I think I got them all in. I learned well from MLJ how to shill. Those are all the outlets you can reach us at. Ryan hopefully should be back next week because I think he won't be as doped up. I'm trying to remember. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'll be here next week because next week we'll be live Friday because it'll kick off Labor Day weekend. So if you guys are here, come start your Labor Day weekend off with us. So I'm going to get out of here. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, give it a thumbs up, all that good stuff. We'll see you back next week. Have a good night, everybody.